All right. Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I'm super excited for tonight's call. Um, Really quick, I just want to do a quick little thank you and recap. And, as we are like halfway through the month now, it is halfway through August, and we as a team have more people on the leaderboard than I think we have probably all year, which is super, super exciting because I'd say 80% of those people on that board are like brand new coaches, people who either are just starting their coaching journey, whether they've been a discount coach for a while and now they're, leaping into coaching, or if you've just joined us in the last couple of months. And that's insane, you guys. That is exactly like the kind, if you listen to the National Wake Up Call today, which I hope you all will go back and listen to that at some point if you haven't already. She is the girl who talked today on the call is a relatively new coach. She's been a coach for a year and a half. And her biggest takeaway, it was progress. No, yeah, progress makes, no, something. Oh my God, practice makes progress. And I loved that. Oh my God, I thought that was brilliant because that's literally what this business is about. And over this last weekend, you guys probably saw we had our team retreat, and our guest speaker tonight, Jess, was there with us. So I'm super excited for her to be sharing. But we talked a lot about that, over the weekend, and just I talked a lot about that, like with Shay earlier today, that a lot of like literally all this is constantly gut checking yourself into positive action. And I think my biggest hope for you guys to start to really like take away, if you're a brand new coach, or maybe you've been a coach for a little while and maybe you felt yourself getting into a funk here and there, we all go through that, you guys. The only way and the best way to get through all those funks is to take some sort of action. Sometimes it literally just means diving deeper into your personal development, or, if it has having to do with something physical or tension related, maybe it means just like getting outside, going for a run, or doing an extra workout, or doing, something opposite like yoga or something like that. Sometimes it just means literally coming back to your center, those vital behaviors, or, completely flipping the script and just doing something completely outside your comfort zone that literally brings you back into this positive state of flow and moves you in the right direction. I've said this before, and this is my best learning mechanism is learning to recognize discomfort as a sign of growth, not as a sign of weakness or as a sign to quit or as a sign like I'm not worthy, but literally just as a sign that I'm growing, and these are growing pains. Okay. So I'm super excited. This past weekend was everything I wanted it to be. It was such a low key, wonderful bonding experience for all of us to come together. And you guys, every time we have, this is my second retreat, and we were able to expand it, and we were able to have more, Leah's personally, if you are not my personally sponsored, Leah, had some of her personally sponsored coaches there. And I would just love to see this grow and grow and grow and grow, you guys. Like, don't look at these things and think, I don't want you to look at us, going on these retreats and thinking that can't be you. Because I know that's, something that we do, right? We see people, we see other people's success, or we see other people doing things, and we down ourselves seeing, people like doing the things that we want to do, and we think like we can't get there, or that's not me. And that is 100,000% not the case, you guys. Like, we do these because we want to show you can. We want to reward you. We want to, we want you to believe in yourself as much as we believe in you, and show you that we maybe in chapter 10 You know, we may be a few chapters ahead of you, but like we are all the same. We're just in different chapters. Okay. So I'm super excited, and I'm super excited to announce Jess as our guest speaker tonight because she, like many of you, is a newer coach. She is Leah's, one of Leah's personally sponsored coaches. She actually, her and Leah have known each other for a long time. And it was so nice to get to know her and spend some time with her this last weekend. But what I love about Jess and why I asked her to share with us tonight is because Jess came into coaching at one of the busiest times of her life. She came into coaching when she was going through a smorgasbord of life events. And I want her to share her story because I believe that coaching is literally like just you experiencing all of life's events, you know, and coaching is the thing that you either choose to help you lean in and get through those life events, or you let it become the thing you put on the back burner. Like, I truly believe that coaching has actually been the thing that has helped me move past hardships through in my life the last 2.5 years. It's actually been the thing that's helped keep me showing up even on the days that I didn't want to show up. And I have seen Jess, you know, showing up and doing the things, even, you know, with all that she's been going through the last couple of months. So I'm just super excited to hear from her, have her share with us tonight, have her tell us a little bit more about her story, and what's worked for her and what her mindset has been coming in as a brand new coach at such a busy time in her life. And maybe we can get some takeaways from her. So I'm going to stop chatting and I'm going to unmute you, Jess, and I'll mute myself.
Okay. So my name's Jess, by the way. I'm a teacher, and so I made a slide thing, if I can get it here, because that's what we do as teachers. We make things. Can you guys see that? Okay, so my name is Jess Delaus, and it's still really weird for me to say Delaus because I just got married, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But as Amy said, I took coaching on in one of the busiest seasons of my life. So I'm going to start by just giving you a little backstory of like who I am and what I've come from in terms of my relationship with fitness, and then we'll talk about like where I'm at with coaching. So as I said, I just got married. This is my husband, Thomas, and our beautiful family. And then back in February, we bought a house. So I got married in July, bought a house back in February. And I'm a high school math teacher. These are a couple of my students, and they absolutely know how much I love cheese. So every time I have a birthday or for Christmas, they purchase cheese for me. And they're just the sweetest in the world. And then I also advise student council. This is going to be my third year going into it. And these are two of my coworkers, one of which is my co-student council advisor. Thomas and I are a cat mom to Betsy. And then I also coach soccer. This is going to be my 5th year. And we just started tryouts today, and we had double sessions. So it was a super busy day. And then I also, in this top corner, you can see this wood burning. I do that on the side too. And so you can see that my life is like spread out and busy, and I feel like I'd never have time for anything, but I still decided to jump into coaching. So my backstory with fitness is that I was a high school athlete. I played 2 sports in high school, and in college I didn't end up playing because the schedule just didn't work out with my college courses. But I played intramurals, and then my roommate has always been into fitness, and I wish that I had jumped on board with her sooner, because I could have been like working on myself the last 10 years instead of doing all these other things that weren't working for me. But she would always try to drag me to the gym. I was the kind of person that would pay in full for a year at the gym and only use it like 3 of the 52 weeks in a year. I tried using the MyFitnessPal app, which is really cool. It like sets you up to like run marathons if you want it, but I used it for like 8 days and then gave up after that. So I was just never consistent. I was always doing something for like 3 weeks and then I would stop. 3 weeks, stop. And so it's kind of still shocking to me that now I've been consistently working out for excuse me, 6 days a week for 5 months straight. And I even did it on my honeymoon every single day that I was there. And so that's my backstory, but this is a little bit of what made the difference for me. So the first thing is my coach, Leah. She showed up every single day for herself for the last year and a half or however long you've been doing it. I'm sorry, Leah, I don't remember. But I know Leah from when we were in middle school playing soccer together on a travel soccer team. And we just recently reconnected because she started sharing her story on Instagram. And she was always transparent, and she was being vulnerable, and she was being open and honest about her fitness journey. And it was just so inspiring and motivating. And the results she was getting because of the work she was putting in was so inspiring to me. And then once I decided to start with her, the community for the accountability was huge. I felt so dumb taking those sweaty selfies every day after the first workout. I was just like, oh my gosh, like I'm so gross. I can't post this right now. But having to post that daily was what helped me stay in it. And then the mindset shift was another big change. Like I said, like I just kept doing something for 3 weeks, and I was like, I don't know, I've got something to do this afternoon. I'm not going to get my run in today. I'll do it tomorrow. Nope. Tomorrow came and went, and I didn't get it in again. And so now I've just got this whole mindset shift. And again, it's due to like the community and Leah and just the PD that I've been doing, that I'm like, no, I need to say yes to myself first and then put everything else in order after that. And so that leads me into coaching. My commitment to others is phenomenal. If somebody asks me to do something, I'm there 100% of the way. And I don't stop working with them or whatever it is until like they're satisfied with whatever they're asking me to do. But my commitment to myself has always been atrocious. So I started my personal fitness journey in March, and it was like literally a week after we bought the house. And I was just like constantly upset with how I felt and what I thought I looked like, and I just wasn't happy. And so I was like, okay, this is it. Like I need to actually commit to doing something different. And I just fell in love with my journey. And so after that, I just wanted to share with others that it's not selfish to say yes to yourself. Like it's okay to take that hour time for yourself in the morning or whenever it happens to be, whatever it works best for you. And so I just wanted to share that with other people. And so I started sharing my story in the month of like May and June. And for me, I started coaching in May, but it didn't really take off until July. May was a crazy roller coaster of a month for me. My grandma was diagnosed with cancer back in January, and she was told that she had probably a year or so to live. And then when I was there in April, we were told 6 months. In May, she passed. And so that was the weekend after my bridal shower in May. So my mom was down in Tennessee. She couldn't come home for my shower because she was with my grandma. So she passed 5 days after my shower. And then I was later that month supposed to have my bachelorette party. We still had it, but then my other grandmother passed away the morning we were leaving for the bachelorette party. So both my grandmas passed within 2 weeks of one another. But then I still had these exciting events that I was supposed to be like, like over the moon about. And so May was a crazy emotional month for me, and it was my first month of coaching. So I sort of like didn't dive in maybe as much as I might have, but I took it as a training month. So in between all the crazy emotions, I took it and was watching YouTube videos, was learning from Leah, was figuring out the back office and just figuring out what I could do to set myself up for success in the future. Because I knew that I didn't want to just give it up. I just freaking started it. And so in June, I started really sharing my journey, making connections with people in the invites. And then in July, I hit SE6, got married, and left for a honeymoon. And so just to show you a quote that like really resonated with me from Rachel Hollis in one of her books, she said, "I established the rule in my life that I would no longer break a promise to myself, no matter how small it was." And so I just really wanted to keep that in the back of my mind, because I don't want to break any promises I make to myself, because I did that for so long. For 10 years, I was going through these workouts that I tried to do, and I just was never putting myself first, and I don't want to do that anymore. And so this screen looks crazy, so don't be afraid of it. But this was my July. It was nuts. But I have like what I was experiencing and then what got me through it. So I just want to run you through it real quick. But the first week, I was feeling amazing. We were like 3 days out of school, a week and a half before the wedding. I'm like, oh, we got plenty of time. We can do this. I'm going to go visit my sister for 3 days. It's fine. And so during that time, I continued saying yes to myself daily. I was doing workouts daily, reading my personal development. I went nuts on DIY wedding decor. I love doing crafty things, and so I was like making all the things that you could ever imagine, but I left it till those last 2 weeks before the wedding because the end of my school year was also crazy. I was still doing student council stuff. I, in the spring, pick up helping out at track meets. So there's track meets like 2 or 3 times a week that I'm at until 6:30 in the evening. And so I just waited until after school was over to do the wedding stuff. And then I was also making connections and following up with June connections. So my tips for getting me through that time frame were using my modified version of the business activity tracker and nutrition tracker. I made my own. I don't know if you can see this, but it's using the Transform 20 nutrition tracker, modified a little bit so that it would fit on this page. But then I also pulled the business activity tracker stuff so that it's all on one page for me. So I use this day to day instead of week to week with the BAT. But I was checking the things off that list, writing down my nutrition, making sure that I was staying on track for myself. And then I also made a giant to-do list of all the wedding things that we needed. I broke it down. I'm super specific with my to-do list. I like ceremony, reception. It was endless. And so that was what helped me with week 1. Feeling great. Week 2, I was freaking out. I could not handle it. I just thought that there was no time for anything. I don't know what happened to all the time that I thought that we had. I continue to work out daily, but my PD slipped a little bit. And I think that that's okay, although I probably needed it more than ever in that point, because I was a mess. There was a time that I broke down and Thomas was like, Jess, like, you're gonna be okay. Like, we're getting married in 3 days. It's gonna be okay. Like, do you just want to sit down and make a list with me real quick? And I was like, I love you. I love you, because yes, I want to make a list. So that was one of the things that we did. We made a super specific to-do list with who's doing what, when it's happening, where it needs to go, whatever it happens to be. It was more detailed than the list I just showed you. And then I was doing more DIY, making the final phone calls with the vendors, planning the rehearsal dinner, because we did it in our backyard, which was fabulous. I wouldn't have had it any other way, but it was a lot of work because we weren't getting it catered. And then I continued making connections. I was looking back at my messages the other day, and I actually saw that I was making connections with somebody that ended up joining with me up until July 12th, which is the day before I got married. And then Leah allowed me to put challengers of mine into her boot camp. And so that was super helpful. Being able to stay connected with her through that crazy time helped me out, because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to fully commit to making posts daily with my challengers. And so having my coach's support was phenomenal in that time frame, because as much as I was still responding to their posts or liking them or commenting on them, Leah was still doing the brunt of the work with the actual boot camp. And then the last tip on that was just the mindset check and recheck. Thomas got me back in check on that, and I needed it. And so just having that support system outside of just me was super helpful. So if you're able to find people or a person that can help you like recheck your mindset, it's going to be a game changer. And then week 3 and 4, these are the last 2 weeks of August. It was the best day of our lives. It was absolutely gorgeous. And then we had a week before we left on vacation, and we were on vacation for 2 weeks. So I continued working out, and I actually downloaded more personal development books so that I had them on vacation with me. And then I also downloaded workouts so that I had them. And I set up my August boot camp with the first week of post, because I was planning on starting the boot camp on August 5th, and I wasn't getting back home until August 3rd. And we had a wedding that evening. So I knew that I wanted to set up my first week of posts without having to rush on that Sunday. So I set them up, and I made sure I knew what I was doing in the actual, like, my challenge tracker app beforehand. And so it was just very helpful to goal set with an action plan in mind. I knew that I wanted to make 2 posts a day as I was setting it up so that I wasn't overwhelming myself, but I was also getting things done. I personally dove into more PD during those 2 weeks that we were on vacation than I have in a long time. And the reason for purposely doing that was to strengthen my own habits, my confidence, etc., so that I could feel prepared to give tips and motivate other people in the boot camp. Make sure that I felt like adequately prepared to run a boot camp of my own. Because Leah did such a phenomenal job in ours. Like that, like I said, that's the reason I stayed in it. Like the boot camp and the accountability in there was phenomenal. And so I just wanted to be able to provide that experience to my challengers. So I wanted to make sure that I felt confident enough in what I was going to share out. So diving into PD there was definitely a necessity. And then I continued to remember my personal why I started my fitness journey, why I wanted to coach, because I could have just been like, oh, I'm going on vacation, like this is going to be it, like I'll just figure it out when I get back. But I was like, no, I said that I wanted to say yes to myself, to commit to myself, and I want to show other people that I'm still going to do that even when I'm on vacation, even when I'm getting married in 2 days, even when whatever happens, I'm still going to say yes to myself, and I want to model that for other people. So when I was on vacation, I was getting on my stories. I wasn't always posting, but I was getting on my stories, showing them that I worked out, showing them that I was still eating healthy, and that I just wasn't willing to give it all up just because I was on a beach. And so, I don't remember, now I'm about to get busier. So I just obviously got back from the honeymoon and started coaching soccer today. I had double sessions, and I went into my classroom today because I had to move classrooms, so I had to unpack everything, and that was a workout in and of itself. I have 4 wood burning orders to complete, and student council and teaching starts in 2 weeks, and then I have goals for my business still. So the ways that I'm going to plan on handling it are continuing to say yes to myself. I've been setting my alarm early now and for the last 2 weeks so that I can get into a routine. Even though I haven't had to be up early, I chose to get up early so that I could get my workout in and like sort of see what that feels like before having to get back into school. I've been subscribing to podcasts too. I was never listening to podcasts before. I was just always reading. And I'm finding that because I'm going to have 0 time, podcasts are super helpful because you can just listen to it anywhere, anytime, if you're in the shower or on the road, whatever you're doing. So I've been listening to different ones to find the ones that I like best. And then making sure that I carve out an hour a day for my business in terms of the coaching aspects, whether it's checking in with my boot camp or finding new followers on Instagram or posting on my story or whatever it happens to be, and then checking those things off of my modified version of the business activity tracker. And then this was huge, staying out of the comparison game. As Amy was just saying, she's like, you can't compare yourself to my chapter 1 or my chapter 10 while you're on chapter 1. And as I was going through this slideshow, I was thinking like, Amy and Leah are on like literally chapter 115 and I'm on chapter 1.5. And I just have to remember that I'm just starting and my life is different than theirs. They might have more time to dedicate in this particular season of their life, whereas I can't. And then other times I might and they can't. And so it's just something that I'm planning to make sure that I don't do is compare myself to other people, whether it's Amy or Leah or anybody else on this team or anybody else outside of it. I just want to make sure that I'm staying out of that comparison game so that I'm not downplaying the potential that I have. And then I see over here meowing to go out in the garage. So then also continuing to make those ultra specific to-do lists and schedules because that's what keeps me on track. I can't keep everything in my mind. I have calendars on my phone and then I have an actual planner where I'm writing everything down. So that just helps me to keep all the chaos together. And then always, again, coming back to my why and the reason I decided to coach in the first place has been so important for me. And then this is another quote that just resonates with me. Always fill your cup first, your own cup first, and allow the world to benefit from the overflow. There's no way in heck that I could do anything that I'm doing if I'm not filling my cup up first. Otherwise, I'm just going to be miserable and then it's just going to spread to everybody else. So I just, again, find it so important to say yes to yourself first. Figure out your own stuff, get your own PD in, and then you can go out and do your business and do whatever it is that you want to do with your day, whether it's nursing like a lot of you do, or talking on the radio like Alex does, or whatever it happens to be. Like, you just have to say yes to yourself first. Make sure that you are full first. And then this is my last thing, just some goals that I have for my coaching business. I was talking to Leah a couple of weeks ago about where I saw myself with this business. And at first I was like, yeah, like, I don't know, probably like be a hobby coach for a while. I don't know if I want to make a team of my own, but after like reflecting on it, I feel like I can. And so I put these on this slide to sort of hold myself accountable and just really set some goals for myself for the next couple of months. So I know that the next 3 months are going to be crazy, but I'm still striving to hit SC6. If I don't do it, I'm not going to be mad at myself, but it is my goal, and I'm going to strive for that. In November and December, I still want to hit SC6, but before the end of the year, I want to add 2 coaches under me. And then I'm going to hop into January 2020, get at the hops picture, by changing 3 lives that month, and then striving for SC10 in the months to come and adding a coach or 2 each month. So I've got goals for myself, and I think that I have some things like to help me get to those goals, and just continuing to create action plans and making sure that I'm staying on track with myself, not comparing myself to others, but also still always filling my cup first. I think that's it. I don't know how to do any of this stuff.
Oh my God. That was amazing. Oh my God. I think the presentation came in clutch because you just like rocked that. All right. So just real quick, I took a couple notes, like the key things that you pointed out. Okay. So I just want to run through them. All right. So the big thing that stuck out for me in the beginning, what you said was like, you didn't recreate the wheel. Like, you utilized your coach, you utilized Leah, you knew you had a challenge group to invite your people to. You didn't stress out about the things that you didn't need to stress out about.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that's very common. Like, we come into this and we think, oh my gosh, but what, like, I need my own team page. I need my own this. I need my own that. And like, the thing about this is like, no, like, you don't need to jump in and start to, there's no need to recreate the wheel. Melanie Mitchell says that all the time. She says that I remember that sticking out to me when I was first starting as a coach. Of course, it took a few times repetition for it to sink in, but it's so important. And we're going to keep telling you that, like, the resources are there. Everything you need is there. Everything is set up for you to really just jump right in and have something to invite to always. If you have a question, if you have concerns or something like that, that's what we're here for. We're here for you to screenshot us, text us. Let's get on a Zoom. Communication is key. That's what I wrote down. Also, what you said was super important and was super huge for me, was communicating my goals to not just my coach and those things, but communicating my goals to my spouse, communicating to those people important to me. Because if nobody knew what I was doing, then there's no way they could adequately support me. And I struggled a lot with that because I felt a lot of resistance. But just like Keisha says on her podcast, actually, if you listen to her latest one, if you listen to Empower Her, she talked about how to get people in your circle on board with your goals and stuff. You got to tell them. You got to tell them what you want. You got to tell them what you're working for and how they can best support you. Otherwise, you can't expect them to do that because you haven't given them a chance, right? So I love that you talked about communication and how that obviously played a huge role for you and made things run a lot smoother. Not recreating the wheel. So you didn't stress about the boot camp thing, and you took that step by step. You focused on the vitals, and I love how you made it your own. You what are you? Do you know what you are on the Enneagram? No. Well, you're definitely, obviously you like lists. You're very like, you're very structured, and like you leaned into that. You took what you know about yourself and you made this work for you. Make more sense for you. And instead of just, sometimes I think too, it's like we get afraid, like we feel like we can't make something our own, like, but that's what, like, the resources are there, the content is there, the vitals are there. You make them work for you how it best works for you, right? Like how some people work well in pockets. Some people work well in power hours. Some people work well like inviting a little bit every single day of the week. Some people like to invite in big chunks. It's different for everyone. And you made it work for you, and I love that. You just went for it, and like that also, I think you should share that to our team page because
I haven't shared on Leah's, but I can share it to yours too.
yeah, because I bet that would, like, who knows, like that might be super helpful for somebody else. So and then two things that were crucial for me specifically last year were mindset, gut checking my mindset and prepping ahead. Just like you said, my Saturday, usually for me, it was typically Saturday morning or Sunday morning that I would take that time to prep my posts out, reschedule my posts out for the week. If I was, on top of it, I might even like start thinking about like posts I wanted to do, or at least like I was, getting my mindset of like, what am I inviting to this week? Am I still inviting to my boot camp? Am I in prep week? Am I in the first week? Like, how is this going to affect me? What's my schedule like this week? Meal prepping, anything I could do ahead of time. Like when you have very little time, prepping ahead eliminates the factor of like, you don't know how the day's going to go. You don't know what's going to come up. So as much as you can plan ahead of time, it allows you to roll with the punches that much easier and make it work for you as things happen. And then mindset, because I truly believe mindset. And for me, that was just like you said, like you already know, you don't have a lot of time to stay stationary. So you are leaning into it and finding podcasts. For me, same thing. I was like, all right, I love to read. If I could, I would. But it's got to go to Audible. It's got to go to Audible. It's got to be in the car. It's got to be in pockets, because I got to use that time in the morning to get my workout in or to get my invites done, because those take priority. And then I'll fit in the personal development as I go. But it doesn't mean it doesn't take away. It's so important. And and I'm sure you probably can attest to this, like when you skip it, you feel it. Right? It affects everything. So those were just some of like the big takeaways I pulled out of like what you shared. But does anyone else have any comments, or can you relate it all to Jess, or did you find anything she shared helpful? Anyone? Ashley, I always look at you.
Right now, I'm sorry I just cut you off, but I'm like just so excited. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And yeah, I'm just like, that just like totally made my day.
Well, thanks for being a fantastic coach.
Thank you.
Wouldn't be where I am if it weren't for you.
So sweet.
Oh, anybody else? No? All right, Jess. Well, you freaking killed it. I love this. I recorded it, so I will share it in the team page. That screen that you shared of your like month to month, that was helpful too. Like your tips, that was really, really good. And I just wanted to add last little bit, like what you said at the very end about how, not comparing your chapter to my chapter or anybody else's chapter, and like time for, that's exactly like you guys, how do I say this? every phase of life is going to bring different challenges. The challenges I faced last year with my schedule, getting married, working, all that stuff, building this business versus the challenges I've faced now. Sometimes, your heart is always going to feel a little different. Last year's hard versus this year's hard is two different beasts, but you have to, find what works for you and lean into that. And it's always evolving and always changing. And that's the beauty of it too, because as you grow, like, you're going to get really efficient in some things, and then new challenges are going to come up, and you're going to hone your skills in that area. So like, never feel like, like your goals that you were talking about, Jess, like those are always evolving. Those are always growing. You can't ever, just think that you're just going to stay one way, or that, this is now is not your forever. You're always growing, you're always changing, you're always learning. And that's the beauty. What I love the most about this is that I look back at a year ago and I can't believe how far I've come. But in the midst of it, you guys, you don't always realize it. So that's why, just hang in there, focus on what you can control in the day to day. Take it day by day, week by week. Like, don't set those monthly goals, set those yearly goals, but your number one job is to just show up every day and focus and control what you can control in those 24 hours, and then move on to the next. Okay. So use these things that she shared, lean into these things, the vital behaviors, they are there to help you. Literally, like if you need a compass, get back to the vital behaviors. If there's any time there's something that feels off, I guarantee you it's something within those vitals that either you've gotten away from, or you need a little bit more of, or need to dig into a little bit deeper. Then that's what's going to help you kind of find your way through those discomfort, those hard times. Okay. All right. That's all I had to say. Thank you guys so much for hopping on tonight. Thank you, Jess, for sharing, and I hope you guys have a good night. Bye.
Bye.